challenge 8, we had to develop a resource exchange mechanism for transferring waste on site, where they had the team with myself, Tim Bird, Ben Murphy, Rija Raza, and Sally Lewis helping us. So the problem was, yes, sites overbuy material, so there's normally generally waste at the end, and these are often disposed of by skips for time and cost reasons and not recycled or sent on elsewhere. This has a negative impact on the environment and the company's ESGs. And as you can see, 60% of waste is construction related.
Within the AECOM report into the need for this resource exchange mechanism, this figure shows the levels of both functional and technological maturity. With this hack today, we're looking at moving along to a web-based waste exchange portal. Looking at the bigger picture, the construction industry is on a sustainable journey. In the past, at the end of a project, any spare material was sent in skips, often to landfill. Now those skips are sorted and a higher proportion is recycled. The next step is to reuse this spare material so that it never ends up in a skip. Ultimately, we need to reduce the amount of spare material that's generated in the first place. When ordering bricks, for example, we will overorder and allow up to 10% wastage, as they have a long lead-in time and we don't want to run out, as it would be detrimental to the project. Currently, spares can be returned with a cost or end up in a skip, which is often quicker and cheaper and crushed for other use. These bricks could be sold or offered for use elsewhere. We need to hold ourselves more accountable for what we order and what we do with any excess. In the future, we should be able to automatically link our ordered materials to those that have been delivered, those installed, and accurately predict our surplus so that we can generate a listing on the REM app automatically. But for this hack, we need to narrow down our scope to creating an effective way to reuse materials.
So what we did for this hack was we focused on the core data set and how the data processes and input is managed in a controlled manner, and then have analytics to start developing the insight and being able to understand how it is affecting an overall, and then become more proactive towards our approaches.
To create this core data set, we first brainstormed to see what were required to collect for the material information. From that, this allowed us to pull together a schema. And once we had the schema in place, we've put together a set of dummy data. This dummy data was then fed into a number of SharePoint lists as per the schema, to then be the back end of the Power BI report and the Power App.
So here we've got the app, and as you can see, it manages 3 aspects, one being inputting data, and it has controlled data sets, data types, and required fields. So we have a good quality of data that's put in, and also there's categories of data so that you can have a discrete number which helps towards the BI reports. Then with your listings, you'll be able to update them and view them so you can see them in greater detail and have a look at the item and see what there is. And if there is any issues, we can then edit those and then update any information about it. And also you can view items on the market and filter them. So you can have the different categories of attributes towards them. And so people can see specifically what items they want to view. With here, you can also see the details of those. And then if you want to acquire something, you can then send a request to the person that's raised that, view this, and then that will send an email to the person for them to approve or reject. And then for each item that is added to the market, there has a PDF which is generated for it, which could be aligned with company processes, so that that can then be used as a hard copy of verification for something being added to the market, and this having record keeping. This also has Power Automates, which link to the back end, and then this could be developed into a portal app for wider access of people to have it outside of just the organization. Those that are used, the main ones being monthly updates to people that are on a mailing list to see what has been added to the market, so they can see what items there are, and then they can view those PDF documents, a link for each item, and then send a request through the app to the person that's created the item on the market. And then also for people that want to see instantly when something is added, they can subscribe to a certain type of item when it's added. For instance, if there's timber or brick or block been added, they can subscribe to those. So when they're added, they will get emailed and notified straight away when they're there, so that they can get them and not have to constantly manually go into the app itself.
Next stage is trying to use analytics to help reduce the amount of waste that's produced altogether. To do this, we pulled together a couple of Power BI reports to demonstrate this. The first of which is an overview, which is for sort of a BD, CEO, operations director. This gives an overview of where's the material sitting, what's the flow of these materials, how much is being produced by certain subcontractors, and also what are main material types that are causing the waste. The second report is to look at what it would be for the project manager. For the project manager, this is slightly more informed than the project itself, looking at what they've got at the moment on that data set and also what they've sold already. This helps them to manage to see how much they've recovered. Additionally, we're looking at how much CO2 has been pulled together in terms of being saved by this process.
In future, we want to expand our solution to include these key features. Rolling out to a larger user base to expand the number of potential recipients of materials and encouraging more companies to list their surplus to reduce overall waste. The end goal here would be a regional or national REM of the whole construction industry to help reach net zero carbon. We want to use machine learning. This would reduce the amount of surplus material for a completed project without incurring additional project risk, which helps reduce waste at the source by adjusting supply quantities. Finally, we would want to move the data to a blockchain to grant full transparency to everyone on the network to ensure that every stakeholder has equal access to the resources available.
So first question being, how can we ensure that the solution is impartial between the companies that manage independently?
So one way to do this is following on from Tim's point, is using the blockchain to ensure this. Other way we can do this is use an independent body such as the Construction Data Trust to hold this information, and also using the idea of using open source development so that other projects or companies can use it in-house as well, to help spread the use of this system.
Second question being, how can we verify any certifications associated with the materials and show this verification to a user?
We would instate a system to make sure accepted certification is selected from an extensive list to accompany the product when it is first uploaded. For example, an FSC certification to timber. We would use artificial intelligence to cross-reference the documentation and data. If the certification can't be verified, the product will be rejected. We would allow certifications to be attached when adding material and include links on the product information sheet. There will be references within the PDF to sources elaborating on certifications and a signature of related documents.
Our final question being, what sort of visuals would we use to show the average user and a system making informed choices about the products?
Product visibility can be ensured by including pictures of the product and sizes which clearly depict the scale. We could also include benchmarks which show examples of how material can be used. AI can be trained to suggest the most suitable materials to users who may have uncertainties about required materials.
I just want to say thank you very much for delivering this hackathon. It's been a good experience for our team.